Coming up on your News at 5, Alaska survivors of sexual assault could potentially have more control and communication over evidence. We'll tell you how.
A little bit of light snow for the coastal areas of the South Central region. I'll have the details coming up.
And nearly 100 volunteers walked through downtown Anchorage this morning. Why they took a stroll.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
The impact of being able to look at that system and see where the kid is and to know something's being done is such a grace. It's such a relief.
Good evening. Alaska survivors of sexual assault could potentially have better control of their circumstances with a new Senate bill that would require better tracking and speedier processing of sexual assault exam kits. Olivia Nordyke is in the newsroom with the latest. Olivia.
Thanks, Adelmi. So Senate Bill 69 passed through the Senate Judiciary Committee Friday and is awaiting to go before the Finance Committee. The bill was proposed by Governor Mike Dunleavy last week and mandates a timeline for healthcare providers to notify law enforcement of a completed kit, for law enforcement to update survivors on kit status, and establishes accountability on behalf of all agencies who play a role in the analysis of the evidence to meet deadlines while processing exam kits. Dunleavy's written statement alongside his House bill proposal says, in part, the bill reflects a, quote, commitment to creating a trauma-informed, survivor-centered process, end quote. Lori Morton with the Alaska Network on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault has followed the bill and says it has the chance to give some survivors a degree of control.
Over this past year, the Crime Lab invested in a kit tracking system, and it allows victims to say, yes, I want to know where my kid is in the process, and download an app on their mobile device, their iPad, to be able to, at any time, 24 hours a day, click in and see where the kid is in the process. So it gives some autonomy back to me as the victim.
Morton says Alaska does not currently have a backlog of sexual assault exam kits waiting for processing. Should this bill pass, it will prevent a possible backlog in the future. Adelmi.
Thank you, Olivia. Federal layoffs affecting Alaskans as President Trump seeks to downsize the federal government. The most recent numbers from the Alaska Department of Labor and Workforce Development show Alaska employs just over 15,000 federal employees. According to the Associated Press, nationwide layoffs began Thursday evening with probationary employees in the first or second year of their federal employment. So far, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Education Department, and the CDC are among some of those agencies who have already laid off employees. Late Friday evening, Senator Lisa Murkowski posting to Facebook confirming dozens and possibly over 100 Alaskans have been fired so far, all in the Trump administration's efforts to reduce the federal workforce. Murkowski writing in her post, quote, many of these abrupt terminations will do more harm than good, stunting opportunities in Alaska and leaving holes in our communities, end quote. She describes the potential for harm to Alaska communities, noting specifically the losses caused to energy and mineral development, summer wildfire management, and the state's tourism industries, also saying the workforce cuts aren't, quote, efficient and will hurt good people. And now let's head over to the Weather Center where Christina Campbell has a first look at the forecast.
Delmy, we have some very nice weather shaping up if you want to get out and enjoy the winter. Mild temperatures, some light snow expected for those coastal areas. And then we do have a winter weather advisory for the Yukon Delta coast, but that's not until Monday through Wednesday. For now, things are looking pretty quiet and uneventful. We do have those light scattered showers offshore of the coastal areas on the southern coastline and the northern Gulf Coast. But for the most part, just a lot of clouds moving over, sunshine over some parts of the south central region, Talkeetna, Golconda, Eureka, and then clouds, mostly cloudy skies, very, very light drizzle in the interior. Still cold, but high pressure building in, glorious sunshine in the forecast. Temperatures are also expected to warm up, but for now they are on the cold side. -2 at Nenana right now and 16 at Eagle. Otherwise, statewide, sunshine starting to move in as we transition into seasons, at least the beginning of this transitional season. As we look ahead, those rain showers mixed with light rain and snow for the coastal areas, mainly the western side of the Prince William Sound and the North Gulf Coast. Again, light. Here's a look at the forecast for a few cities across the state. Bethel looking at mostly cloudy with a high of 6 degrees. Juneau, high of 35 and mostly cloudy, and even a warm up for Fairbanks. I'll have more details coming up on your full statewide forecast in just a little bit.
Thank you, Christina. Nearly 100 volunteers walked through downtown Anchorage this morning to raise support for more accessible heating in Alaska. Reporter Joe Allgood was there and has the story.
I'm here in downtown Anchorage, and behind me, a crowd of nearly 100 people are walking in the cold for warmth. United Way of Anchorage held their annual Walk for Warmth Saturday morning, beginning from the First Presbyterian Church at 11:15 and walking around a mile to the Performing Arts Center in downtown. The reason? To raise awareness and funds for Alaskans who may be unable to afford heating bills in the dead of winter. Volunteers gathered at the church sharing breakfast and coffee and making signs with messages like, "I walk to help my neighbors." Right before setting out, the group heard from a member of the church, a representative from NSTAR who helped sponsor the event, and the CEO of United Way.
It's about raising money and raising awareness. So those that may not be aware that there are community members that are challenged to pay their heating bills. And so not only are we raising the funds, but also raising the awareness. And so we're turning the heat for helping our neighbors.
I also think it's a really good cause. You know, there's a lot of needy families in our community, so being able to do something to help them, especially in the cold winter months, I think is really fulfilling and a good use of my Saturday.
You can learn more about the Walk for Warmth tonight on The Late Edition.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.